I have a close friend that is very in the moment. And I'm the opposite of that. I used to garden when I was a kid, and I've known this friend since I was a kid. And recently I've started just like puttering around in my backyard, like just growing some flowers because I enjoy it. Whatever. It's fun. And I mentioned it to my friend, and he was like, I thought you were never going to garden again. And I started like give some reason for it, and then I sighed and I said, maybe I just do whatever I want. And like he might have said a word or two, but like you could tell inside he went, yes. Because it's the best. It's the best when you get to that point where you don't have to justify everything you do. Even if you're trying to do something at a really high level, you don't have to always have a reason for doing it. Because sometimes the most powerful aspect of the doing comes from the fact that you want to. It comes from your desire. It comes from your desire, and it comes from being in line with who you are. So you aren't going to know why you want to do everything you want to do because you got brain cells in your abdomen. Bodies are weird. None of this stuff makes sense. So you have to be willing to listen to that sort of instinct and act on it as if it's a brilliant idea. If you don't act like it's a brilliant idea, it usually won't be. But if you act on your initial instinct as if like, this is the most genius thing I ever thought of, I'm gonna do it now, it often is genius because it has to do with aligning yourself. And when you have one of those instincts and then you act on it as if it is an act of genius, then all of you is aligned in the idea because your original instinct thought it was genius. So now your instinct thinks it's genius and your actions imply that it's genius. So now you're going to behave like it's genius, which means a lot of the time it will be. And if it's not, you'll find out real quick. Your problems aren't going to be solved by me continually giving you new things that are awesome and you should learn these new things, learn these new things, learn these new things. I'm going to keep giving you new things to a degree, but the real progress comes from taking a couple and integrating them. So maintaining what's working is way beyond anything else. Also, any new things that I add, they kind of mostly only work if you have those original things. It's like math, math is a cumulative test. You need to know your addition and subtraction to do your algebra, it's like, it's cumulative. So you have to have those fundamentals maintained or you're going to struggle. So go ahead and find a middle ground, but here's the thing to write down, which is allow the variety in your behavior to continue to oscillate. Allow your behavior to continue to change. Because once again, you do whatever you want, right? And you want that reinforced because that's the thing that convinces you that you're a badass. You do whatever you want. That has to be reinforced in all different parts of your life because you want to believe that because it makes you better. It's fundamentally useful to believe that you're a badass. And yeah, of course, with the disclaimer of you can go too far. But far too much of our narrative is based on keeping people from going too far around that. The much bigger mistake in our culture is not enough people are believing that they're badasses. That's actually the bigger mistake right now. So the things that you do need to reinforce that you have independence of mind and that you have good ideas and that what you think you do. Like those sorts of things need to be reinforced. So part of that comes from allowing variety because it's tempting to come up with a pattern and say, oh, I see, this pattern works. Now I'm going to discipline myself into this pattern so that I always do it. Once again, to a degree, it works. Like, it's good to work out regularly, for sure. And if you're not doing it and you can discipline yourself to do it, that's a good idea a lot of times. But at the same time, if you're disciplining yourself into a pattern and that's what matters, and every time you have a desire that comes up, you say, oh no, that's not as important as the pattern. Now you're telling yourself that your intuition is invalid. So it's really, really important to allow yourself to continue to oscillate between types of activities between like energetic levels, these sorts of things do naturally ebb and flow in your life. This week should not be the same as next week. The week after should not be the same as the week before. That's a part of how life works. Over time, yeah, you do stabilize to a degree and patterns that work for you, but you have to maintain that willingness to ebb and flow to keep your edge. Basically, the idea is don't feel like you failed if you have a conception of how you need to act and then you act differently, because that actually is counter to your needs. Like it's really weird, because, and this goes back to the framework conversations. It's like, okay, you're good at establishing frameworks, so then you lean on them and you go, okay, so everything's going to be frameworks, and I'm going to behave this way, I'm going to think this way, I'm going to act this way. And it's like, you do that because you're good at it, but then you do it too much, and now you're not listening to your inner child that goes, hey, I want to go over here. I want to say this. I want to sleep today. I want to run today. You know, those sort of things. That's the same place that your intuition starts to come from. So to really tap into it, you have to listen to it more, not less. And the last thing, you can detach from the emotions and choose those as well.